2.0 and above rating games are rare. Zywu got 4 last year, Simple got 1, and Donk got 6 in one tournament. So other than aim better, I want to show you how Donk makes his opponents miss, why he still carries even when he's whiffing, and why he plays a lot like early Shroud. Kinda. First, I want to talk about our sponsor, Leadify. Leadify helps you track your CS performance regardless of the version, except for CS 1.6 because that game sucks, hopefully making you a better player. With Leadify, you can track your true performance with their rating system that focuses on impact instead of kill to death ratio, and you can compare that with your friends whenever you have a good game so you can laugh at them. You can also track your bragging rights with their automatic highlights that somehow still make me look like a noob. Check out Leadify for free at the link in the description. There's enough evidence and about 5 other videos to say that Donk has insane aim. Obviously he does, but most players don't do very well in a game like this with nearly double the time to damage of Frozen. Except this is his best game of the tournament because surprisingly Donk is a lot more than just an aimer. Outside of time to damage, you could tell his aim wasn't as on point as usual, but Donk just constantly does the little things right and wins gunfights anyways. Because this is what Donk's aim being on point looks like, and this is what Donk killing Rops from a disadvantage without hitting a nice shot looks like, which is the type of thing he did quite often on Overpass. If we look at the very first round of the game, he opens up by not getting a kill he probably should be getting, but then turning this around by hitting a couple nice shots, because it's Donk. I mean, what are you expecting? But you'll notice something if you watch Donk enough, which is his opponents seem to whiff a lot more than usual. In fact, there's even a front page Reddit thread about it. On pistol round, that's pretty normal. On gun rounds though, I think there might be something to it. Some of it is the angles he's playing, like this spot at map on second round where he's playing second contact, so his opponents are a little distracted, but he has this unbelievably fast reaction to spotting someone's freaking shadow coming around the side of his teammate. But the point of this angle is he has the ability to peek into his opponents while they're a bit distracted, and he's not afraid to take duels at these ranges versus pistols, which they're just not gonna win against him very often at all. But specifically about being hard to hit, one of the things you might not have noticed if you watch this game live was the way he wins this duel against Rain. He doesn't kill him instantly, then he unpeaks, and then Rain shoots at nothing. Why are you shooting at nothing, Rain? Well, Rain knows how long it takes for Donk's recoil to reset once he gets around the corner, and pre-fires that timing, which often will get you a kill if you do it yourself. But Donk waited for that moment to pass, then peeked out, and that let him get an easy kill. And this kind of off-timing movement might seem small, but it's the same reason the dumbest peek in human history, the pop and swing, works in Valorant. Seriously, it's the dumbest peek ever.
How do you do that shit while you swing and don't shoot until they whip?
You have to jiggle, and then you swing until either they hit you one time or until you feel like shooting them back.
All right.
Oh man, the pop and swing, dude.
Not that Donk does anything quite as insane as that, but he does a lot of off-timing peeks and movement that intentionally or not consistently outplay his opponents. The kill I showed earlier from Rops, Donk does a really weird peek, but because of this movement, Rops literally flicks off of him. And if you look at his insane 3K spray down from this game, it feels like most players would probably die here, but Donk seems to almost emulate pistol round movement with a rifle. On the first contact, he's actually moving before he crouches, which makes the initial headshot almost impossible. Then he's moving back and forth instead of this standard crouch and move in one direction. To get back into the Overpass game itself and why he did so well with such bad time to damage, Donk pretty much throws the same util set every single round of the game, which is great to copy, but also why I'm not loving Overpass in CS2. But he also sets up in ways that make him insanely hard to avoid. Usually if you're looking at CT side Overpass, you see the rifler in bathrooms and the opper towards site, but a good amount of the time, Donk does this. He's got Shiro in bathrooms with an op, and Donk is back on the site itself. Obviously there's reasons for this, but on this round, it means he's a fast rotate to heaven when his team starts to lose B, and he immediately forces the engagement while his team is still alive, getting himself 2 easy kills. If it was an opera rotating into heaven, they wouldn't have had nearly as good of a chance to get both kills, which did set Spirit up to win the 2v1 pretty easily. So we got 3 kills this round without doing anything amazing, just being in the right place at the right time. Now, Donk does everything on his own is a quote I've seen before that I think isn't quite accurate. Just from the previous round, every kill he got was based around contact from teammates, and in the very following round, not only can you see his team enabling him to rotate B early looking for a kill in short, but when they end up in a retake late round, he's also running second out of heaven to get the instant trade. Once he gets that trade, he sits around for a while and then perfectly times a peek onto Rain to get himself another kill. From Rain's POV, he's watching this video wondering why every clip has him dying, but from his POV in-game, he peeks out heaven pre-aiming, and just as he thinks it's clear, Donk peeks right back into him. Keep in mind, this game was played after they nerfed Peeker's advantage, and peeking into someone is still usually a good idea if they have a rifle. But I want to show you a way Donk utilizes peeking onto people that would work even without Peeker's advantage. I'm going to call it playing for second contact. Disclaimer: this isn't always a good idea. If you mess up, your teammates will rage. Players in pugs might suck too bad to play these setups. Take a look at this play on pistol round. He's the second player, Bader, with his teammate leading out. When his teammate makes contact, he's gonna swing out with him, right? Wrong. He's gonna peek out to kill the player divider that his teammate hadn't even seen yet. Okay, Voo, that's anti-stratting. He knew that pistol strat existed, and he's just playing against it. How about this one? Donk is trapped dice in a 4v2. His team knows FaZe has one player bank and one player jump up. When his teammates make contact with Kerrigan swinging out jump up, he knows it's the perfect time to peek out bank and kill Rain, who's looking for a spirit player swinging on Kerrigan. And that's playing off the second contact. He's not looking for the first kill, he's assuming that kill's gonna go his way, and he's already aiming for the second kill to turn it into a multi-frag scenario. But that can go pretty wrong in a situation like this, where he kills the first player swinging underpass, then looks top mid, and immediately dies to a second player underpass. This type of playing for second contact has a high chance of not working if you're playing matchmaking where there is no second player, because the second player is baiting in T-spawn. But talking with Austin, he's already picked up something I didn't even notice that Donk does while peeking.
He moves kind of weird, you know? Like, I started doing the same thing that he's doing, where he, like, when you peek an angle, you crouch, but you don't like actually go all the way down.
Yeah.
You just like tap it as you peek, and it slows you down to enough to where you're immediately accurate, but your head like. But somebody peeked me like that, and I was like, oh my god, that's unstoppable. Like, that's unstoppable.
The idea is to just tap crouch as you're peeking to nearly instantly slow down and move your head position. And it goes against everything I know about CS and feels insane, but actually works really well. When it comes to gunfight movement, step 1 is lining up your shots and counter-strafing well and all that, but step 2 is actually being unpredictable so your opponents don't kill you instantly if you don't kill them instantly. I made a comment the other day that Shroud is basically budget Donk. Really, really budget Donk. And I said that because Shroud also had incredible movement and snappy aim, even if his spray, game sense, and also aim really weren't nearly as good. But I wanted to seriously look at who Donk plays like, because if you look at any consistent top 10 rifler, they generally take gunfights where they have a big advantage and use their game sense to do it. And while Donk has an insane feel for the game, I mean, look at this 2K on Nuke through smoke that looks like prime Flusha, he takes a lot of fights that are closer to 50-50 than you'd expect from a Robs or Electronic. And I think this Overpass game was an example of a game where his aim wasn't perfectly on point, but neither were his opponents. Donk does some things right, absolutely, but if you replay this game 10 times, I have a feeling it's not his best game of the tournament very often. And this sort of playstyle is actually a lot like early Niko. You wouldn't see it much in his gameplay today, but when Niko first popped off, you would take the same sorts of gunfights as Donk, just with less team play and honestly not quite as good of reads. And if you're hoping for Donk to be the next GOAT, I think that type of transition might be what's necessary. There's nothing wrong with his gameplay currently, but at some point when it comes to riflers, it feels like they either fall off or live long enough to see themselves become a Niko or Magisk, players who can still pop off but aren't constantly taking hyper-aggressive engagements, even if doing it with the support of their team. I'll admit that in terms of feel for the game, Donk almost feels closer to ZywOo in that he just seems to know where players are going to be, but it's hard to believe that without adjusting slightly, he won't turn into another Mir or Axile, who had incredible peaks but simply couldn't sustain it. And honestly, I'd love to be proven wrong, because if this isn't the case, he's gonna be the best player of all time. And if you didn't catch it, those last couple clips are examples of Donk understanding timings to catch his opponents the moment they look away, which is yet another thing he's insanely good at. Anyways, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, otherwise check out this other video YouTube thinks you'll enjoy.